Incredible twist. She leaped into a stranger's arms, uncovering an unexpected millionaire's heart. It was just another dreary Tuesday morning at the diner, where the smell of frying bacon clung to the air like an old friend. Sarah, a 28-year-old waitress, glided between the tables, balancing plates stacked high with pancakes and eggs. Every clatter of dishes echoed the rhythm of her life, chaotic, yet filled with unwavering hope. With her spirited 7-year-old daughter, Lily, waiting for her after school, every tip mattered. But when an unassuming stranger entered, lost in thought, the air tingled with something extraordinary. Jake, a man in his 30s, walked in like he belonged to another world. His kind eyes observed the worn-out booths and bustling customers, a stark contrast to the commanding presence he seemed to hold. Sarah noticed him, and with a shared smile, they exchanged energy that struck deep within her like a bolt of lightning on a gray day. It was brief, yet everything changed in that moment. As he took a seat by the window, she couldn't shake the feeling that he had a story, just as she did. Just as the warmth from their brief encounter flickered, her phone buzzed harshly. Panic seized her heart. The principal was calling. Lily had fallen at school and hurt her arm. The world around her faded. Her heart raced. I need to get to her," Sarah exclaimed, and as she turned back to Jake, she found herself leaping into his arms for a fleeting moment of support. In that desperate action, she saw more than just a man. She glimpsed the glimmer of hope she longed for. But within Jake's warm embrace, she felt her struggles pressing down on her like weighty chains. "Just go," he said softly, the sincerity in his voice igniting something within her that she hadn't felt in years. "Are you sure?" she asked, guilt gnawing at her even as her heart fluttered. What could he possibly know of her world? As he nodded, reassurances flowed from him like a gentle stream. "I can handle it. Just go be with your daughter." With that, she darted from the diner, the door swinging shut behind her, and a mixture of fear and gratitude surging in her chest. It was an unexpected lifeline to a broken part of her soul. That pure relief tangled with a nagging doubt. Why was a man like him so willing to help her, a waitress in a small-town diner? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Days turned into weeks, and Sarah found herself caught in a whirlwind. Jake learned of her struggles. The weight of his wealth pressed down on him. It created a wall between them that felt insurmountable. Yet, they worked together in quiet camaraderie, sharing fleeting moments that tugged at their hearts. With Lily healing, Sarah began to wonder if this unassuming millionaire could somehow change everything. But just when hope began to blossom in her heart, a dark shadow emerged. An unseen rival threatened the fragile balance they had achieved, drawing a line in the sand. Sarah stood at the precipice of her dreams, heart racing, her loyalty to family clashing with the undeniable attraction to the man by her side. Would she leap once more, or would fear hold her back? She stood there, the weight of the world immense, feeling as if both hope and heartache rested in her hands. Would she embrace the unknown, or would the burdens of her life drown the spark that Jake had ignited within her? The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the diner as the day wound down. Sarah finished her shift, feeling a whirlwind of emotions. She glanced outside, half expecting to see Jake sitting at his usual spot. He had become a beacon of support, yet uncertainty shadowed her heart. "Mommy!" Lily's voice broke through the doubt as she ran into the diner with a crooked smile, her arm bandaged but her spirit unfazed. "I missed you." It was moments like these that filled Sarah with hope. She knelt and embraced her daughter, all worries about Jake fading momentarily as they shared laughter. "Guess what?" Lily beamed, pulling back to look up at her mother. "We can draw again now. Mrs. Thompson said I did such a good job in class." Her excitement was contagious, pulling Sarah into a moment of lightness. "That's amazing. Sweet pea. I can't wait to see your drawings." Gratitude washed over her. In her daughter's eyes, Sarah saw all the reasons she needed to keep pushing through life's challenges. As they walked home, the evening air was cool, whispering through the trees. But something felt off. The thrill of happiness was overshadowed by Jake's absence. She couldn't shake the feeling that she had missed a crucial moment in their unspoken connection. After all their shared glances and words of encouragement, how could she have let fear hold her back? Later that night, Sarah tucked Lily into bed, kissing her forehead gently. The house was silent, but her heart sang with the echo of Lily's joy. As she settled into the quiet, Sarah picked up her phone, staring at Jake's contact information. With her heart thudding, she finally pressed call. It rang once, twice, and then he answered. "Hey, Sarah." His voice washed over her like a comforting embrace. "Jake, I was just thinking about you. How was your day?" Her nerves tingled, unsure of how to bridge the gap that had formed. "It was good." "Busy," he replied, his tone warm but distant. "Was just checking in. How's Lily?" "She's healing well. We drew together today, she's so proud." A pause hung in the air. "You've really helped me, She almost choked on the words. She needed him to know how much his support meant to her. "I'm glad she's doing better." Another pause. "But I didn't want to overstep, Sarah. I know you have a lot on your plate." The worry in his voice cracked like fragile glass. "No, wait." She inhaled sharply. "No, you didn't overstep. You've been there when I didn't know I needed someone. I want to see you." The words spilled out. There was silence on the other end. Just as doubt began to creep in, he responded, "I'd like that." Her heart raced. But suddenly, a loud noise shattered the moment. A banging at her front door. Panic flooded her. "Hold on, Jake," she whispered into the phone. She darted to the door, her heart pounding. Through the peephole, she saw a tall figure, familiar but menacing. It was Adam, Lily's father, whose life had always been entwined with chaos. The man she had escaped was back, casting a dark shadow over her hopes for a new beginning. "Sarah, open the door." His voice, painted with threats, made her stomach knot. Jake's voice broke through the silence, filled with concern. "What's going on?" She sucked in a breath, the stark reality of her life crashing down. What would Jake think if he saw Adam? Could he protect them from the storm that was brewing at her front door? Feeling the gravity of the moment, she whispered, "I have to go." But just before ending the call, Jake's voice resonated with strength. "Wait. Remember, you're not alone." With that, she made her choice. The weight of fear shifted. Would she face the man who haunted her life or embrace the unexpected future Jake could represent? In that heartbeat, she realized she was ready for a leap of faith. But would it be towards the unknown or back to the safety of the familiar? The night seemed to hold its breath as Sarah stepped away from the door, her palm still resting on the cool metal handle. Adam's relentless banging echoed like thunder in her ears, and she felt as if the walls were closing in. Every word he shouted was another reminder of the life she wanted to leave behind. But it was hard to ignore the fear wrapping itself tightly around her heart. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered to herself, fear mingling with determination. Jake's voice was still ringing in her ears, each word a lifeline thrown into the stormy sea she was battling. "You're not alone." Those words anchored her. She had a choice to make. "Sarah, open up," Adam shouted again, this time puncturing the silence with a sense of looming menace. The man who once claimed to love her was now an embodiment of chaos, and she couldn't let him back and couldn't let him ruin anything else. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, and turned back to the phone. "Jake." But Adam's voice broke through the thin barrier of the door again. The urgency in his tone sent another wave of panic through her. "I'm coming in, Sarah. Just give me a minute," she barked, her voice stronger than she felt. Would he even listen? "Do you need me to come over?" Jake asked through the phone, his concern palpable. "No, I don't want you involved." The thought of him seeing Adam filled her with dread. She wanted to shield him from the mess her life had become. "This is just between us." But the truth was that she couldn't face Adam alone. Suddenly, a thought sparked like a match in her mind. Wait, Jake, can you call 911? What? Sarah, are you okay? Panic etched into his voice made her heart swell with gratitude. I will be, I promise. Just do it. This time, she heard Jake's muffled voice asking for help. As he spoke with the operator, Sarah's resolve solidified. She couldn't keep living under the shadow of fear. For once, she wanted to fight back. She took a step toward the door and braced herself to confront the person she had tried to escape. The banging stopped abruptly, and silence fell, leaving an eerie tension in the air. Sarah, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Adam's voice transitioned into a deceptively calm tone. Just open the door and we can talk like adults. She felt her pulse quicken. The man inside was a stranger, one who had once shared her life but had become a threatening shadow. No, Adam, you don't get to dictate the rules anymore. Before she could say anything else, she heard the distant sirens wailing closer. Her stomach twisted. Relief mingled with the sickening dread of what would happen next. Stay away from the door, she yelled, feeling adrenaline rush through her veins as she felt empowered by her own defiance. Lilia's voice echoed back in her mind. Mommy, I drew a picture today. The thought of her daughter kept her steady. She had to be strong. For Lilia's sake. As she waited, the sirens drew nearer. She felt the panic clawing at her throat, but she also felt something else: courage. In that moment, she realized that life would never change unless she fought for it. And then the door swung open, revealing a scene she never expected: two police officers standing tall, their professionalism cutting through the tension like a hot knife through butter. Ma'am, is everything all right? One of the officers asked. Scanning the area for any sign of trouble, Sarah exhaled, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. Yes, but he's back. He won't leave me alone. As the officers stepped towards Adam, ready to confront him, a new thought flickered in her mind. Would she finally make the choice to end this chaotic chapter of her life once and for all? With everything at stake, Sarah faced the unknown ahead, the dark abyss that could finally lead to a dawn of something new. She took one last glance at the doorway. What if this was the turning point? What if she could finally embrace the chance to shape her own destiny? But then a nagging sensation had her reeling back. What if Adam wasn't done fighting? The tension hung in the air, thick and heavy, just waiting to break. The officers moved with purpose, their calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos swirling in Sarah's mind. She stepped back, giving them space, but every instinct in her screamed for her to stay close to the door. Adam's facade began to crack, and she could see the rage building up again from the way he clenched his fists. Sarah, you don't need to do this, Adam growled, his voice surprisingly soft, almost soothing in the face of the officers. Let us just talk. We can work this out. Work what out? She snapped, her voice thick with a mix of anger and fear. You've made it clear how you feel. This isn't about us anymore. The second officer turned to Adam, his presence commanding yet calm. Sir, step away from the door. We need to ensure everyone is safe. She watched as Adam's eyes darted between her and the officers. The fight within him was palpable, like a storm about to break loose. This is my home, he protested, but his voice lacked the force that had once terrorized her. I don't want to live like this anymore, Sarah said, her resolve strengthening. She felt a glimmer of hope as she focused on the officers doing their job, creating a barrier between her and the man who had caused her so much pain. Ma'am, we need you to come with us to discuss what is happening here. Let us step away for a moment. The first officer gestured toward the living room, and she could see their thick, determined expressions shifting to care as they recognized her fear. She hesitated for just a moment, glancing back at Adam, who stood rigidly by the door. But the brief hesitation quickly fell away when she saw the flicker of desperation in his eyes. It was as if he was pleading for her to allow him back into her life, a life she had fought so hard to escape. She shook her head. No. The word felt powerful as it passed her lips. Grabbing her phone from her side, she spoke into it firmly. I need to file for a restraining order. You can't let him back in. The words rushed out like a lifeline thrown into the storm. She felt Jake's subtle support crackling through the line still. The officers stepped closer, ensuring the distance between them and Adam was clear. "It's all right, ma'am. We'll handle this." Behind her, Adam's calm facade shattered. "You think you can keep me away? You're nothing without me," he shouted, wrapping his story in bitterness and betrayal. But as those words hung in the air, Sarah felt something shift. The once torrential fear she had of Adam was transforming into something that felt more like pity. He was lost, and she had to move forward, no more looking back. The officers exchanged glances, the tension rising as they prepared to contain Adam. At that moment, her daughter's drawing flashed through her mind. "I'll do it for Lily," she thought fiercely. Everything felt surreal as the first officer moved to restrain Adam, who struggled for just a second as if he could reclaim her through sheer force. The reality of her choices came flooding back. She was stronger than she had acknowledged. As the officer led Adam away, she felt a weight lift off her shoulders. But then one question stung her thoughts. What would happen when the dust settled? Would moving on be as simple as walking away? She turned back to the officers, her voice shaking slightly but firm. "Will this really be over?" It was a question that hung heavy in the air. Would she truly find peace, or would she have to fight to protect the life she dreamed of? In that moment of silence, she couldn't help but wonder about the path ahead and what obstacles still awaited her. The living room fell into a hush, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on Sarah's chest. The officers continued to secure the area around her, their calm presence grounding her as she faced upturned emotions battling within her. She felt strangely exhausted yet invigorated, like the aftermath of a storm that had finally passed, leaving behind the promise of clearer skies. "Let us head into another room for a minute," one of the officers said gently, guiding her away from the open door. It was easier not to look back at Adam. She didn't want to see his expression, the confusion and rage twisted together in that tortured face. As they moved into the nearby dining area, Sarah's pulse quickened. The officers took a position on either side, ensuring she felt safe. She crossed her arms, trying to barricade herself from the vulnerability that swirled in her mind. The conversation happened quickly, an exchange of details and simple questions about her living situation. "Do you have friends or family nearby?" one officer asked, concern etched on his face. Sarah shook her head. "Not really, just my daughter and our dog." She felt a swell of protectiveness. "We need to get out of here. I can't stay in this house. I can't let him come back." "That's a good decision, ma'am." He nodded approvingly. "We can help you with finding resources, shelters if necessary." "You're doing the right thing." Sarah's eyes stung with tears. The thought of seeking shelter felt so defeatist. But then, staying meant facing Adam again. "Will my daughter be safe?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Absolutely. We'll send a patrol by regularly to ensure everything is secure." The officer placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. She could see the sincerity in his eyes. What would it be like to feel safe? Could she breathe again? The abyss of fear that had become so familiar began to fade, like a memory she wanted to forget. "Mommy?" The soft voice pulled her from her thoughts. Lily stood there, clutching her stuffed bunny, wide-eyed. She looked between her mother and the officers, sensing the tension that hung in the air. "Oh, baby!" Sarah rushed over, kneeling down to wrap her arms around her daughter, relief flooding through her. "I'm so glad you're okay." Lily squeezed her tightly, and Sarah felt the warm pulse of love emanate from the little girl. It recharged her weary spirit. "Can we go for ice cream after this?" Lily asked hopefully, pulling back to look at her mother's face. Sarah couldn't help but smile through her tears. "Of course. You deserve that and more." As they shared a brief moment of tenderness, the officers exchanged glances, respecting the fragile universe of comfort being rebuilt between mother and daughter. Suddenly, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. A message flashed on the screen, an unknown number. Her heart thudded, uncertainty creeping in. What if it was Adam? "Mom, who is it?" Lily asked, looking at her with wide eyes. She hesitated, the weight of worry crashing against her courage. It might be about the restraining order. Just open it, the second officer encouraged. Taking a deep breath, Sarah opened the message. Moments ticked by as she scrolled, dread pooling in her stomach. But the words caught her off guard. I know what happened. We need to talk. It's important. Panic spiked. Who was this person? Did they know Adam? What could they possibly want? Mom, what does it say? Lily pressed. I don't know. The officers leaned closer, their brows furrowing. The feeling in the room shifted, tension crackling again. As Sarah grappled with the implications of that message, uncertainty clouded her mind. Could there be even more complications waiting in the shadows? It looked like this wasn't over at all. With a shiver of apprehension, Sarah realized she might be on the brink of something far more complicated than she ever imagined. The seconds felt like hours as Sarah's mind raced. Who could that person be? She needed clarity more than anything right now. Lily's small hand clasped around her own, grounding her even when adrenaline pulled her thoughts in every direction. The officer's voice broke through the fog. Do you have any idea who might be trying to contact you? No, Sarah whispered, lowering her gaze to Lily's bunny, the worn fabric a sharp contrast to the chaos swirling within her. Can you trace the number? She looked up at the officer, clutching her phone like a lifeline. We can, he replied, but right now your safety takes priority. You should focus on getting to a secure place. We can handle this. Lily's innocent face, painted with concern, tugged at Sarah's heart. Mommy, can we go home? Home. The word felt foreign, haunted by shadows of the past. Sweetheart, we're going to a safe place. Okay? Like the park? Lily asked, her voice small. Sarah hesitated. The park was where they shared so many laughs, where Lily rode her bike. It felt wrong to shield her daughter from the truth, but the reality of Adam's presence loomed over them like an ominous cloud. Not quite. We'll find somewhere new for a little while. The officers exchanged glances, recognizing the turmoil reflected in Sarah's eyes. The second officer stepped forward. Let us get you both moving. We want to make sure you're safe. As they guided her and Lily into the hallway, Sarah's phone buzzed once more. Another message demanding her attention. Trembling, she glanced at the screen. Trust me, you're not alone in this. The words washed over her like a cool breeze on a hot day. Who was this person? What did they know? Was it connected to Adam or perhaps something else entirely? We should get going, the first officer urged gently. Mommy, can we go now? Lily tugged at her, and she felt the warmth of hope bloom within. Maybe a new place would mean a fresh start. Okay, let us go, Sarah agreed, trying to mask the fear that slithered up her spine. She felt a weight lifting, even though it was still tinged with uncertainty. They exited the house, entering the bright afternoon sun. The officers led them to a waiting cruiser parked at the curb. The whir of the car engines and the chatter of neighbors filled the air, but stood distant, almost muted. Once they settled into the back seat, the officer in the front turned around. Do you have a place in mind? Or would you like us to find a shelter? Can we just find somewhere safe? Sarah replied, her voice low. I need to think. As they drove away, she glanced back at their home, now just a dot in the rearview mirror. The house seemed to fade, leaving behind a trail of memories that hadn't always been bad. Yet she knew it was time to sever those ties completely. Lily leaned against her, whispering, Mommy, are we going to be okay? Sarah held her close, letting the warmth seep into her heart. Yes, baby, we're going to be okay. Yet with each passing block, the phone buzzed again. This time, Sarah stared at it, her heart racing as she read the familiar, ominous message again. She couldn't ignore it. Mom, what is wrong? Sarah hesitated, then took a deep breath, determination rising. I need to respond. But what could she say? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, thoughts racing. Mommy, what if it's a bad person? I won't let anything happen to you. I promise, she said, her voice trembling with resolution. But I need to know who this is. The officer glanced back, concern flickering across his face. If you feel unsafe, we can help. I'll be careful. I have to know. As Sarah faced the unknown, another message dinged, pushing her unresolved fears to the surface. Are you ready for this? She thought as the next words caught her eye, chilling her to the bone. Meet me in an hour. You need to know the truth. Panic and resolve warred within her. But one thing was clear. The journey ahead would either break her or make her stronger. Would she find the strength to face whatever awaited her? With her heart pounding, she glanced at Lily. In that moment, she understood. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about protecting the future they both deserved, no matter what it took. What truth was lurking in the shadows, and would it bring them closer to safety or plunge them deeper into danger? The cruiser rolled through the streets, a rhythmic thump syncing with Sarah's heart. Each bump echoed the uncertainty of her situation. With every mile, she felt a mix of relief and terror. They were leaving, yet the threat hung in the air like a storm cloud. Lily's head rested on her shoulder, warmth radiating off her small frame. Their connection was a lifeline. Amidst the chaos, the softness of her daughter's curls felt like home. Sarah stole a glance at Lily, who was now sleepily clutching her bunny, eyes slowly fluttering shut. It tugged at her heart. Just then, her phone vibrated again. Another message. Are you there? With shaky fingers, she typed back. Yes, but I can't talk right now. The officer in the front seat glanced back at her. Everything okay? Sarah forced a smile, though her stomach twisted. Just some minor stuff. I'm fine. The minutes crawled by as they wound through the city, eventually pulling into a parking lot where a nondescript building loomed. A shelter. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't what she had envisioned for herself or Lily. Let us go, the second officer said, swinging open his door. As they stepped out into the fading light, Sarah clutched Lily tightly. It felt daunting, stepping into the unknown. She caught herself scanning the parking lot, looking for shadows that weren't there. They walked toward the entrance, and as they did, her phone buzzed again, nearly making her jump. The message was simple yet dire. Time is running out. Mommy, are we gonna be okay? Lily's question pierced through her worry, pulling her back into the moment. Of course, sweetie. Though doubt crept in, she fought to keep her voice steady. They were together, and that was what mattered most. Inside, the shelter was busier than she expected. People bustled about, some in deep conversation while children laughed in a corner. A sense of community surrounded them, yet anxiety clung to Sarah like an unwelcome shadow. An employee approached, a kind woman with a warm smile. Welcome. How can I help you? We need a safe place to stay, Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Absolutely, we can set you up. Follow me, the woman said, leading them toward a quieter area. Sarah's heart quickened. The reality of their situation began to seep in. Why was she here? Was it really safer? As they were led to their temporary quarters, Sarah settled Lily down on one of the beds, a simple frame with clean sheets. The child seemed to sense the weight in her mom's heart. Mommy, can we play? She asked, her eyes brightening. Later, honey. Right now, I need to think, Sarah replied, ruffling her daughter's hair before stepping outside the room. The hallway felt suffocating, walls closing in. She pulled out her phone, heart racing. She needed answers. The next message awaited her, that chilling prompt once more. Meeting. No one can protect you from the truth. Her hands trembled as she took a deep breath. What would she find at this meeting? Was she ready to confront whatever lay ahead? Every part of her wanted to say no, to bury her head in the comfort of denial and ignore it all. But how could she do that when Lily was counting on her? Mommy, Lily's voice called out, breaking her thoughts. She turned to find her daughter standing at the entrance, a hopeful look on her face. Let us color instead? The little girl suggested, holding up a box of crayons and a coloring book, a universe within its pages just waiting for life. The tension within Sarah eased, if only for a moment. She knelt and smiled, drawing her child back into the safety of their little bubble. But just as she did, another message pinged. Meet me 7 p.m. You're running out of time. Could she really go? Her heart raced anew. And yet, The promise of truth hung tantalizingly close. Would it be worth the risk? As she sat beside her daughter, crayons scattered about, looming questions filled the air. Could she face the darkness waiting for her? What lay on the other side? And as the vibrant colors smeared onto the pages, Sarah knew she had to decide. Would she hide from the truth, or step into the shadows and uncover what was truly going on? Sarah forced herself to focus on the cheerful colors, the swirl of crayons dancing across the page. But each stroke felt like a tether pulling her closer to the looming meeting. The clock on the wall ticked louder, pushing against her thoughts. 7 p.m. A little over an hour remained. "Look, Mommy, I made a rainbow," Lily exclaimed, thrusting the coloring book in front of Sarah, her excitement a bright spot in the heavy air. "That's beautiful, sweetie," she said, trying to muster real enthusiasm. But the masterpiece before her blurred with the worries pulsating in her mind. The minutes passed like thick syrup. Each tick of the clock made her feel more trapped. She stole glances at her phone, half expecting another ominous text even though silence was what she craved. "Can I have a snack?" Lily's innocent voice broke the tension again, bouncing off the walls. "Of course, let us grab something from the kitchen." Sarah took her daughter's hand, standing up and doing her best to push her own fear aside. As they wandered into the common area, the atmosphere was a stark contrast to her swirling emotions. Laughter filled the space. People were talking, sharing stories, and even a couple of kids were playing tag. For a moment, she could almost forget what had brought them here almost. She set Lily on a stool and pulled out a granola bar from a nearby cabinet. Watching her daughter munch happily sent a flicker of warmth through Sarah's chest. Could she truly protect this little girl from everything out there? The weight of her responsibility felt heavy, and she took a deep breath to ground herself. But then her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. Heart racing, she fished it out, staring at the screen as if it held the answers to everything. The message was brief, yet it sent a chill through her. "I'm waiting. Mommy?" Lily's voice pulled her from the daze. "You look funny." "Just thinking, honey. I'll be right back." She needed to face whatever was waiting for her, not just for her own sake but for Lily's. After a quick glance around the bustling room, Sarah slipped outside. The air was cool against her skin, a sharper contrast to the warmth inside. She moved toward a small courtyard, a patch of quiet surrounded by walls that felt like a hug in the chaos. With shaking hands, she texted back, "Where?" A response arrived mere moments later, the words heavy with urgency. "Behind the old school. Hurry." Each step toward the meeting spot felt as heavy as lead. What awaited her in those shadows? Questions gnawed at her, but deep down, she knew curiosity was urging her forward. She reached the gravel path leading to the old school. Dark shadows loomed, elusive figures waiting just out of sight. Should she turn back? Was this reckless? But the recollection of Lily's laughter, her innocent belief in a better world, spurred her on. What kind of mother would she be if fear dictated their lives? As Sarah entered the space, a sudden movement caught her attention. A figure stepped forth, his face partially obscured in the dim light. The air felt charged, as if the atmosphere held its breath waiting for the moment of recognition. "Sarah?" The voice was familiar yet coated in something dark, something that made her heart leap into her throat. "Who are you?" she demanded, confusion washing over her. A smile twitched at the edges of his lips. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you just then." The most unexpected crash echoed from behind, shattering the fleeting moment of suspense. Both of their heads snapped toward the noise, and Sarah's heart pounded wildly in her chest as fear crept back in. "Lily!" she screamed, realizing her girl was still at the shelter. Without hesitation, she bolted back the way she had come, dread filling her every step. She needed to protect her child. Meeting or no meeting, she would face whatever storm lay ahead. But in that moment, a chilling question whispered through her mind. What had she just uncovered? With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she ran. What would she find when she returned? Every step felt like a battle against gravity as Sarah rushed down the path, her heart pounding in rhythm with the quickening pace of her breath. The laughter and idle chatter from the shelter faded into a distant hum, replaced by a growing sense of panic. Lily's name echoed like a mantra in her mind, fueling her urgency. She darted past the flailing colors of the children's art on the walls, that vibrant display now a blur of anxiety. The gravel crunched beneath her feet, each sound amplifying her fear. What if she was too late? Images flashed before her eyes. Lily, scared and alone. It made her stomach churn. When she reached the entrance of the shelter, she pushed through the door with trembling hands. Her eyes swept the room, landing on the table where Lily had been eating her snack. But it was empty. Panic gripped her as she called out, "Lily!" Her voice strained to be heard over the laughter still filling the air. A few heads turned, puzzled expressions meeting her frantic gaze, but none offered a solution. Heart racing, she hurried toward the kitchen area, looking everywhere, desperate for any sign of her daughter. "Lily!" she shouted again, nearly shouting, hoping for a response. Then, from the corner of her eye, she spotted a small opening leading to the playroom. It was a colorful paradise filled with toys and laughter, but right now it felt more like a maze, trapping her in her worries. She shoved through the door, feeling the weight of dread pulling her further down. Her heart sank when she saw it was also empty. The overwhelming silence contrasted sharply with the chaos of her thoughts. Just when hope began to slip through her fingers, she heard a giggle pealing like a bell echoing from the far end of the room. Without a second thought, Sarah dashed toward the sound. There, near a pile of plush animals, she saw her. Lily was playing with two other kids, blissfully unaware of the storm of worry she had ignited. "Lily!" Sarah exclaimed, grabbing her daughter's small shoulders as she knelt before her, breathing heavily with relief. "You scared me." Lily turned, her face radiant with joy, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Look, Mommy, we're playing house." She thrust a stuffed giraffe into Sarah's hands. "You can be the daddy." "Of course, I'll be the daddy." Her voice softened, but the overwhelming urge to hold her tight crept in. "But first, we need to get you home." As Lily's attention returned to her new friends, Sarah's relief turned into unease. The world outside was still waiting, pressing in on her. That unknown man and the cryptic message lingered on her mind like an unsolved puzzle. "Okay, sweetie, it's time to go, all right?" She felt her own resolve wobbly as she led Lily away from the group. But as they left the room, a sense of dread started creeping in again, a familiar shadow from outside resurfacing in her heart. "Mommy?" Lily said, glancing back up at her with innocent concern. "Are you okay?" Sarah forced a smile. "Just a little tired, sweetheart." But she knew it was more than that. She felt like the ground beneath her was shifting, teetering. The looming confrontation was unavoidable. Just then, her phone buzzed again in her pocket. She looked down, cold apprehension flooding her as she read the words. "You've kept me waiting. We need to talk. Alone." "Mommy?" Lily tugged at her hand, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her mother. "Can we go get ice cream?" A soft smile flickered on Sarah's lips despite everything. "Yes, ice cream sounds wonderful. But what if that message meant she would have to leave her little girl behind? What if she had to make a choice that could change everything?" As they stepped outside into the cool night air, Sarah glanced back at the shelter, her heart heavy with uncertainty. The door slipped closed behind them like the shutting of a chapter. "Mommy!" Lily's voice broke through her thoughts. "Look at the stars." Sarah followed her gaze, watching as stars began to twinkle, each one a distant beacon of hope. Yet doubt swirled within her. What awaited her in the shadows beyond? A decision loomed ahead. She couldn't ignore it, not any longer. As she squeezed Lily's hand tighter, she felt the weight of the choice ahead, the revelation that could change everything for them both. But as they walked toward the car, a shadow moved in the periphery of her vision, chilling her to her core. What was lurking there in the dark? A sudden thought gripped her. Was she really ready to confront the truth? With her heart hammering in her chest, Sarah fostered the uncertainty that lay ahead, knowing the answer could change their lives forever. The next morning dawned with a softness that felt foreign and hopeful. Sarah awoke to the gentle hum of laughter coming from Lily, who was attempting to color in a new book at the dining table. The warmth of sunlight spilled through the window, illuminating the tiny room they now called home, a temporary refuge, but a place filled with promise. "Good morning, Mommy," Lily chirped, her eyes sparkling like the morning dew. In that moment, the weight of everything that had come before began to feel lighter. Sarah's heart swelled as she recognized this very happiness as her reason to fight. "Good morning, sunshine," Sarah replied, kneeling down to envelop her daughter in a hug. "What do you want for breakfast? Pancakes?" "Yes," Lily squealed, jumping in her seat. As Sarah flipped pancakes, the morning slipping by in giggles and splashes of syrup, she felt something shift within her. The devastation of last night's chaos still lingered like shadows at the edges of her mind, but the lightness in the room began to push them back. After breakfast, anxiety curled in her stomach. The meeting. Would she face that man again? Could she muster the strength? "Mommy, can we go outside?" Lily asked, reading the worry etched on her mother's face. "I want to play in the sunshine." Sarah's heart softened. "Sure, let us go." They stepped outside, and Lily ran ahead, her laughter weaving through the trees like a sweet melody. But as she watched her daughter enjoying the world around her, Sarah's own worries flared anew. The text from the mysterious source still echoed in her mind. What if the truth revealed something terrible? Taking a deep breath, Sarah focused on the bright day, willing the shadows away. Just then, her phone buzzed. "Are you ready?" With a tremor in her hand, Sarah typed back, "Where?" Her heart thundered painfully in her chest as seconds stretched into a lifetime. The park. An urge to dissolve the distance consumed her. This needed to end. "I'm coming," she texted back. She looked at Lily, who was climbing a small mound of grass and laughing triumphantly. Her daughter was a beacon to her, igniting courage deep within the foundations of her heart. "Lily, sweetie," Sarah called. "We need to go for a little walk. Can we get ice cream after?" Lily replied, eyes sparkling with hope. "Of course. But first let's south go to the park," Sarah said, her heart lightening. In a matter of minutes, they strolled to the park, the place once overshadowed by threats now shimmering with possibility. As they approached, the laughter of children filtered through the air, painting a warm picture of innocence. Yet Sarah was focused, scanning the edges of the park with a careful gaze. "Look at that," Lily exclaimed, pointing toward a cluster of swings, beckoning her mother to join in the joy. Sarah smiled, but her mind raced what awaited her in this mix of light and shadow. Then she saw him, the figure standing alone at the edge of the park, hands shoved deep into his pockets, head bowed. It was the man from last night. Whatever he had to say now felt like destiny, a juncture that could reshape everything. "Stay close, honey," she whispered to Lily, who skipped ahead into the world of fun, unaware of the anxiety slipping through her mom's fingers as she approached him. The man's face flicked up, recognition dawning as their eyes locked. "Sarah," he said softly, taking a cautious step forward. "Thank you for coming. What do you want?" she asked bluntly, the weight of her spirit wrapping around her like armor. "You said you had something important." He nodded, concern etched on his brow as he began. "I didn't want to frighten you. My name is Mark. I'm here because I know about Adam and I can help." "Help? How?" Sarah's voice was shaky but firm. She fought against the shaky hands of fear that clawed at her courage. "Adam has connections. People tracking you, trying to manipulate your life. You need to cut all ties." As he spoke, urgency filled his tone, every word hitting her like a wake-up call. "What do you mean?" She shot back, heart thumping, but the pieces started to fall into place. The messages, the fear, the shadows. "Your safety depends on it, Sarah. I can get you resources, a new location. But you need to trust me. If you don't act fast." His voice trailed off. The gravity of his words sank in, a thrilling fear that felt more like liberation. "What does that mean for me? For Lily?" she asked, holding onto her daughter's presence like a lifeline. "It means you can start over. A new beginning away from him." Marcus' eyes held sincerity, an empathy that entrenched her resolve. Okay, she said, the decision surging within her like a tidal wave breaking against the shore. Let us do this. I'll do it for her. Lily ran up, her face flushed with joy. Mommy, can we swing now? Sarah chose that moment to truly embrace her daughter, knowing deep within, they were about to rewrite their lives completely. Let us swing, baby. As they climbed on, laughter filled the air. The moment felt pure and golden, a stark contrast to the weight of the conversations they had just had. From the momentum of the swings pushing them up into the sky, she could sense freedom igniting within her soul. Hold on tight, Sarah yelled, pushing Lily to rise higher. Lily chuckled, her spirits soaring with the simple joy of childhood. The swing creaked joyfully beneath them, throwing them to the heights of sky and light, but also giving Sarah a newfound perspective. Every push allowed her a glimpse of the future she dreamed of. With each rise, she felt liberated. As they swung in unison, the shadows began to shrink, the colors of their life stretching wider and deeper. With all the uncertainty that lay ahead, Sarah made one promise to herself: she would not allow fear to dictate her life anymore. This was the moment she embraced her own strength, and it felt glorious. And as the gentle breeze rustled the leaves, whispering of hope and healing, Sarah was ready to take on the world. This was just the beginning. Together, she and Lily would forge ahead toward the life they deserved. They jumped off together, hearts united, echoes of laughter surrounding them. And just as they landed on solid ground, Sarah knew that their story was transforming into a beautiful tapestry of resilience and newfound joy. Now she would take this leap of faith into the light. Today was theirs, and nothing could dim the brightness that awaited. So remember, this is the moment for you to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and help spread this message of transformation and hope. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this incredible conclusion, and remember to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to discover this uplifting journey. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the love. You need to be a true fan and support the channel through these actions.